Hello, and welcome back to One Dish, Two Ways. My name's Sheila, and Joe's behind the camera. So this recipe is going to be for using up a bunch of different items that you might have in your fridge. It's the end of the week. You look in the fridge. What are we going to make? But also, are you looking at your cupboards to see if there's spices or 1 cup of pasta you need or anything like that? We had a conversation at work about that actually this week. And I thought maybe I should, because this is what I really love to do. I'm going to be honest with you. If I could have a job where I could just come to your house and then I could see what it is that you have. Woo, I got that pretty hot, huh? I can see what you've got in your fridge that we need to use. I would be all over that. But they don't make a job like that, so I'm not going to have that job. So for right now, I'm going to show you how we do it in our house, or how I do it in the house. So what I just put, so this is a more hot skillet, obviously, probably a little too hot, so I turned it down some. And I have just got a bunch of little bit of veggies. I got a little bit of cabbage. I've got a little bit of red bell pepper. I like the celery tops, the leafy part of the celery on my salad. So I've got a little bit of this. I've got some green onions. I got some canned peas and carrots. I've got here half of a portobello mushroom already cooked. I got a little bit of corn, and I've got some spinach. And I have 1 block, and I had already put in here a little bit of raw onion that I have. And I have these ramen noodles, these rice ramen noodles from Lotus Foods. Yeah, here it is, Lotus Foods. So I only have 1 brick left. So generally when you would, the instructions for this is you put these bricks into the boiling water, and then after 2 or 3 minutes, you start separating it and you let it finish boiling, and then you drain it. Well, I was like, how can I make this process where we do it all together? So I did some research, and I found where you could do that, and then I made it work, and Joe's like, make a video about this. So this one will be all vegetables, but you could add leftover meat in here. You could add all meat, no veggies. It's the same concept, okay? So we've got 1 of the, what do they call this? Cubes, I guess is maybe what you want to call it. I've got 1 in here. That was 1.5 cups of vegetable broth and the onion. I'm going to put that little bit in there. So we're going to, and then we also need, so we need 2 cups total of liquid. And what I found was if I added 1/2 cup of non-dairy milk, so this is soy beverage, it kind of made it a little creamy. Now we're not talking mac and cheese creamy. We're just talking a little bit creamy. So let me add in the 1/2 cup of milk. And you might find, so if you do if you've done 2 of these cubes, I don't know how much you would need. So keep that in mind. I only tested it with 1 cube. So I'm going to cover this up, and I'm going to let it start cooking. And it will take like 2 or 3 minutes. And then I'm going to start doing the separating. Now, here's the difference. So last time I did this, a lot of my veggies were more raw, and they needed more time to cook. For this particular batch, this cabbage is shredded. It's not going to take long. The bell pepper, I'll go ahead and add that in because that is raw, and they're, kind of bigger, but not very much. This won't take long. These are already, these are canned. And then the mushrooms already cooked. The corn was a little bit I had left over in the freezer. And of course, the spinach will take no time at all. So it really depends on what vegetables you have. If you have a bunch of raw, hearty vegetables, you're probably going to want to add them in there at the same time you add the liquid and your cube. So just play that by ear, because ultimately what you want to happen is when your noodles are completely done, you want all your other stuff to be done, and that way you can eat. And I just thought of an ingredient I don't want to forget. When I did it, I also added some sesame seeds on top. I have the black and the white sesame seeds. So tonight I'm going to use the white ones. So I just found that this is so much easier, and it's a 1-pot dish, and you get to finish up a bunch of stuff in the fridge. So it is like a win-win-win, or the cupboard. So while this is starting to do its cooking thing, keep that in mind that when you are starting to make your grocery list out, maybe you need to go through your cupboard and go, what packet? Maybe you've got an au jus packet that you've had in there and you don't want it to expire. look up a recipe. A lot of times you can go to McCormick if you have like McCormick seasonings or different companies, and they might have recipes on their website. You don't have to be on TikTok or Instagram to find recipes. A lot of the companies that make these items, even like Lotus Foods, I haven't looked because I knew what I was going to do with this, but they might have recipes to help you use those ingredients up. I mean, we all know groceries are so expensive. You spend a ton of money on groceries, you might as well use them, and you don't want them to go bad. So I'm going to flip this over just to make sure. See, it's already starting to come apart. So, and I've just got this on a medium heat. If I need to add more liquid, I can definitely do that. And I'm just stirring now. If you had a pot that was more deeper and less this way, then your liquid might be covering this more. So each time it's going to take a little bit different. The pan I had last time I did it was probably this big. And so there was more liquid covering it, but it's the same thing. Once it gets enough liquid, you're going to be able to start peeling those noodles apart. And then I'm going to add all the other ingredients, and then it won't take any time at all. So back to what I was saying about the thing. It could be in your cupboards. Maybe you need to look at your canned goods, or maybe you need to look at, a lot of times too, you might just have a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this. Find ways to use those up. It just helps clean it all out, but also keeps you from having food that expires, because then you can't even donate the food. Or if you find that maybe you had your kids got on a kick of eating mandarin oranges and now they're off the kick, donate them. There's always people, there's always food banks that need it, and then you don't have it keeping space in your cupboards and your items. I know when I went to find this batch of noodles, I found that I had a packet of to make seasoning packet to make bean burgers that I completely forgot that we bought, because I keep the stuff that I primarily eat in a separate little pantry, so it's not with the normal spices. So I'm like, oh, I need to be using that. And so I have that on my list to get stuff to go with that. So let's take a look here. Oh, see, they're already starting. So if you've never worked with these noodles before, you can either use, I might have to go get, these might not be the right thing, but they start to come apart. Let me go get 2 forks. They're probably better. All I know is it already smells good in here with the peppers and the onions already cooked. So you can see it's starting to break apart, and you just have to help it out. Now, as far as where you can find these noodles, for me, I can't find them at Walmart here in Central Illinois. I usually have to go to like Fresh Time, or I think I find it at Hy-Vee, but I'm not finding it at, I've never seen them at Kroger. They might have them now, but I had not previously. But they don't take long at all to start separating. So, and now that they're separated, they're going to be absorbing that liquid a little bit more. So let's start adding in the rest of my veggies. So I'm going to add in my peas and carrots, which are already, what do you call that? Tender. My cabbage. My celery. Oh, I love these celery leaves. They're so good in salad because they give you that celery flavor without having the, I'm not saying I don't like the crunch of the celery, but sometimes it's very stringy. So that's why I like to use those. And Joe takes celery day to work, so I know we're going to go through celery. That's not a problem. Here's my mushrooms. It also doesn't matter, like my mushrooms we grilled a couple days ago and they have one seasoning on them. It doesn't really matter because it's all going to come together and it's just going to be fabulous. So I got this little bit of corn. Another good way to use up little packs of frozen veg, if you have it, so is to do this recipe. Now I'm going to let this all, the green onions, I'm going to do some now and I'm going to do some in a little bit. So let me stir this up a little bit. See if I need to add just a little bit more. I think I do need to add a little bit more liquid here. I don't want too much because at the end, I just want these noodles to be, let me get some water. It's going to be creamy, but not like I said, like milk creamy. It's just going to be that the noodles are cooked and you just have this nice, beautiful finished dish. And it does heat up well the next day if you don't eat it all. So just keep that in mind if the whole family doesn't eat enough and you've got to. All right, so I'm going to keep pushing these apart just like that. Oh my gosh, this is looking so good. And it's just the smell of the veggies is all it is. And that little bit of chicken, or excuse me, vegetable broth. Now I am going to add, that's another thing. You could add whatever seasoning you want to it. Just because these are ramen noodles, which is historically some Asian dish, you could put some barbecue seasoning in there if you want. You got a little bit of barbecue sauce somewhere, put it in there. As I've said before on the video, don't be afraid. Because at the end of the day, if it's terrible, it was an experiment, and I know everybody has peanut butter and jelly in their cupboard, and you just have peanut butter and jelly that night for dinner. That's simple. No big deal. Don't be afraid to experiment. And you'll know, after a while, you'll know what your family likes, what they don't like, and then you just go from there. So, and I know, see this, even the ramen noodles is not something Joe likes. So I would never make this for him. I would find a different way to use up meat for him. That would be all that would be. So you would try it? I didn't think you would, because I didn't know you liked the ramen very much. I mean, it's just noodles. Yeah. So now here's the other thing about these. If you've ever used these ramen noodles, they are very long. So if you want to make it so it's easier to eat, you can do what I do, and I cheat a little. And I come in with scissors and I start cutting the noodles so that they're easier to eat, because we're not pros at the eating. And see, look at that. I would have never thought Joe would have used it for leftover meat. I guess I got to go get more noodles, because as you saw, that was the end of my noodle pack. So they're so easy. They just cook up so fast. And now that I've discovered this way to do it, oh yeah, we'll be doing this more often. But like I said, you could make it barbecue. You could make it any flavor that you want it. Anything you got to finish up. So tell me in the comments, what kinds of things do you normally have at the end of the week and you're sitting back thinking, what am I going to do with that? Because we might be able, as a group, come up with different ways of how you can use that. Okay, I'm going to shred there. I'm going to rip this spinach apart a little bit. And then we're going to put the lid back on it. I'll start first. You know, the lettuce or the spinach just wilts down so much. Oh, this is, look at that. There's hardly any water left. We know the noodles are cooked because they gave me no resistance when I was cutting them with the, with the scissors. And also any noodles you can, if you're doing spaghetti noodles while they're still in the pot, and you know you've got little ones, when it gets close to their being done, go ahead and just scissor them up right in the pot before you drain them. Oh my goodness. Look at this. See, all that water is dissipating. Everything's just becoming this nice, moist. I know a lot of people don't like that word, but that's what it's becoming. So just for a little bit of flavor, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of tamari. I have low sodium tamari here. I don't know why Basil's barking. Maybe there's a delivery at the door. I cannot tell you. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off. Here's what people, even myself in the beginning, when I started cooking, I would keep it going. And the next thing I know, I've got this super dry pan. You want this. This is what you've got right here. You see, everything is moist, but yet it's not dry. So I need to turn that off because there's that residual heat on there. So, and then I'm going to add the rest of my green onions, because I like some of them fresh. And then I just thought, just to make it easier, I'm going to put the sesame seeds on. Oh my gosh, look how pretty that is. Okay, and now I'm just going to try it right out of the pan. Like I said, Joe, do you want to try like maybe peas and the noodles? Or no, because there's just too many veggies in here. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. Maybe this? He's in the middle of fixing our bathroom. He's remodeled our bathroom, so I'm kind of messing with his flow here.
Didn't have the mushrooms in it. It'd be a good side dish.
Who would have thought? Whoop. Let me do it over here.
Then I could take the mushrooms out.
Oh, this is phenomenal. And I just used up all my veggies, so I can start again tomorrow. And this is phenomenal. But please let me know in the comments, would you give this a try? And what would you put in it? What do you commonly need to be finishing up at the end of the week? Thank you all so much for joining us, and I hope you have a good week. Bye-bye.